Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, it's amazing. With medical insight, technology, and everything, you hear the same thing come up and we deal with the same stuff. I'm talking about stress. No surprise. I'm sure you've heard it so many times over and over again, even a decade and then some back, that stress kills. It really does. What are we doing about that? How are we managing our stress? We're going to talk to somebody today that helps people minimize stress in their lives, make realization of what actually is going on, and the challenges and triggers they may have that might even stress them out. She is behind a wonderful counseling center in Massachusetts called New Beginnings, and she's also our Diamond of the Decade. Sherri and Alexandrovich is back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm relatively stress-free, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, a couple little things here. I like to call it percolating out there, but like low level, in a manageable state. That took a journey for me to figure out and minimize.
Mm,
And I could fill a lot of time here talking about my stress journey, which includes an ulcer times two over a period of time. So I get it. It's like, and I also get how you don't realize that the stress is building
right.
because we're so cool at acclimating that, I realize it's gotten worse. You just keep doing what you're doing until your body says, I'm not doing that anymore, right?
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that our bodies don't let us get away with the things that our minds necessarily let us get away with. And I think that's what's
Mm,
important to recognize, is that when we start having those somatic, those body type symptoms, to really pay attention to those, because they can, like you said, ulcers times two. Right here, I'm right there with you.
oh, yeah.
This like long-term stress related things that happen in your body that, once you kind of cross over that threshold, it's some of it can't be reversed. So it's really important to be mindful of what our daily stressors are like, for sure.
Well, you're bringing back those memories. The year was 2016. Steve was dealing with some personal stuff,
Mhm.
newer house, complete backyard reno, did some of the work, but also managed it. Three different jobs. I took on a management job that, looking back, it was a cool career thing, but monetarily it didn't make sense, and life-wise it didn't make sense. But I was doing it, waking up very early, kids, on and on and on and on. And I just started feeling that, something in my stomach, just uncomfortable. Oh, and it got worse and worse and worse, like we said before. You acclimate, yeah, until it started getting like to the point where I was like, well, I'm worried now. It's gone now. It's back. Until it was on my birthday that year. I was at the beach with my kids, and I'm like, I'm going to the hospital. I
Yeah.
got to that point where my from worrying about what was wrong with my stomach on top of the stress, I felt like my eyeballs were going to pop out of my head because my blood pressure went up from worrying. Normal blood pressure always until that moment, and just it turned out to be an ulcer, not a big one, but enough that caused that. It's just
Right.
amazing how this can just fester to the point where it controls your life.
Mhm. Right. And other symptoms such as headaches, migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, ulcers, panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I mean, all of those are causes that are stress related. And, strokes, heart attacks, indigestion. I mean, the amount of symptoms that our body endures or reacts to is incredible. And that's why it's really important to stay in tune with our body. And a couple of different ways that, we can do that. And there's exercise, meditation, mindfulness, talking about, problem solving, dancing, music, going for walks, all of those are really good ways to kind of recenter and rebalance ourselves and stay in tune with and listen to what is it that our body is telling us, because those are really, really important messages. Like you were saying, you go through life, you've got all of these things that are going on. and you're not really focusing on how your body's responding to it. You know,
Mm.
your brain is just kind of every day, it's crisis managing, it's getting through, it's kids, it's work, it's bills, it's finances, it's marriage, it's divorce, grieving. I mean, there's just so many things that happen every day that we forget that self-care is really, really important.
Didn't even know what that meant back then.
No, right? A lot of people don't.
No.
What is self-care? I mean, when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard to kind of take a step back and breathe and say,
Hmm.
"Oh, self-care, what does that mean?" I mean, what I can't. I've got so many other things that are bigger priorities, but we don't realize is that if we're the head of that and we're the person in charge, it's like yeah, the airplane, right? Put your mask on first before you try to help other people. And that applies to our everyday life as well. It's really important that we stay in tune with what our needs are. And it's not about being selfish. It's not about, putting ourselves first because we think we're more important. It's about how can I be the best version of myself in order to be the best version for other people. So there's
Mm.
that stage that comes first, right? You have to make yourself the priority. And not only is it because it's important for our own personal growth and our own stability and to keep ourselves somewhat manageably stress-free, but also if we don't demonstrate to other people in our lives that we're a priority, other people are not going to make us a priority either. And so it's really how we're presenting is so much bigger than just taking care of ourselves. It's role modeling. It's role modeling for our children, for our grandchildren, for our coworkers, for our friends, for our partners, for our spouses. How we want to be treated is really important in how we treat ourselves. It all kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that nobody ever talks about what you just said because you're teaching others how you want to be treated, especially when it comes to the self-care. So
Mhm.
you get to the point where you say, "Yeah, I'm going for a jog. I'm going for a walk." Nobody's ever going to say anything once you've set it up where this is what I do. This is I need this for me to take care of everything and everybody. Um, and even an example for our kids to show them, yes, it's okay to think about oneself instead of just giving to others. Which nothing wrong with that. Just got to keep it in check.
Well, right, because once we're depleted, it's really hard to replenish it. I kind of use the analogy all the time that if I have 50 cents and you need a dollar, doesn't matter how badly I want to give you that dollar. If I don't have that other 50 cents, I just can't give it to you. So it's not about wanting to give to other people or wanting to help. It's about what do we have to give. And sometimes if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't have that extra 50 cents. We just can't come up with it. I know that's a really basic analogy, but it's so very true that if we don't have it to give, we're going to get burnt out. We're going to get sick. We're not going to be able to take care of ourselves. And not only are we role modeling that importance for our community, for our children, everybody that's involved in our community or who's within our family unit, but we're teaching them that it's okay for them to make themselves a priority. So it's almost a double lesson there. We're
Mm.
teaching them the importance of role modeling, of the importance of taking care of yourself and taking care of other people, but also the importance of it's okay to make yourself a priority. It's okay to say, this is what I need today, and to advocate for yourself and not feel stifled, to not feel like you don't have a voice
Or feel guilty.
or feel guilty for having a voice. Right.
Mhm.
It's just so multidimensional that all of this just goes down so many different slippery slopes that it's really difficult to navigate once you start sliding down that rabbit hole, how to get back out of it.
So stress management, we identified some things here. What are some of the other things that we can do to keep stress in check?
So in addition to the exercise, all of the things that we do for ourselves, but also prioritizing, making
Mm,
lists, right?
mm.
What's important. So sometimes people have 50 things that's kind of percolating in their mind of things that they need to get done. I'll suggest make a list, then prioritize that list. and then just make it into two lists, you know, the things that you absolutely have to get done today, the things that you would like to get done today, and then the things that can wait. And that way there, you're visually looking at how to basically better balance everything that's going on in your life. Because sometimes there are just so many things that need to get done. It's really hard to just like be able to figure out which are the things that absolutely need to get done today, and which are the things that can wait. And then what can we delegate? And sometimes by doing a list, we can see what are the things that we can take off our plate to delegate to other people to be able to still be efficient and effective and get things done. And sometimes delegation is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I struggle with it. So I'll be the first, like right here, first and foremost, I am the worst. I am such a perfectionistic person that really hard for me to delegate, because there are few moments that things are done exactly the way that I would do them. And not that my way is the best way, but you know, sometimes you kind of get stuck in that, like you really need things to be done a certain way, or sometimes we forget that our way is not the only way, that some other people might have better or more efficient ways if we could just be open-minded to that. I think that's an important lesson.
Very much so. And sometimes we become enablers to the point where, something needs to get done. I can ask so and so to do it. They explain, I'll just do it myself and get it. Well, that's not good. You're not helping them. You're not helping
Right.
you.
Well, because what are we teaching them? Right.
Right.
So we're teaching other people. Well, first of all, we're not teaching them anything, because we're not teaching them how to do it. So they're staying static. But then we're also giving them this lesson that, well, we'll just, don't worry about it. If you just sit silent, somebody else will just take care of it for you. So then we're also not role modeling how to be motivated, how to be go-getters, how to kind of step up and take over. And I learned a pretty valuable lesson when my kids were younger, and I used to everybody had a chore chart, and I had
Mm.
my own two children, my niece and my nephew that I was raising. So there was me, single mom, going to school, working full time, four kids, all under the age of 10. We had a chore chart, right? 26 years old, the house full of everything going on. Talk about stress management at
Mm.
its best. So one of the chores was to vacuum the floor, and one of the kids would say, well, why can't I just sweep the floor? And back then, you're in the moment, you're so busy, you're not thinking, well, I know I want the floor to be vacuumed, because the sweeping of the floor just isn't going to get it up right. And you know what? The little one just kind of looked at me and said, well, just let me have a chance. Let me just
Mm.
sweep the floor and let me just see. And if you don't like it, then I'll vacuum it. And that for me was so powerful, because I stepped back and I was like, you're right. I'm robbing them of the experience to figure out how to do it for themselves. I'm so busy and overscheduled that I'm not really thinking about the lesson that I'm teaching them, which is my way is the right way, because it's not, right? I'm not the end all be all. And I'm just taking away some really powerful skills. And I think that as we get older, we forget to just take a breath and take a step back and let the younger generation try to figure it out. And if it doesn't work, then we reshape it. But there are other ways of doing it.
I know exactly, or at least I'm pretty confident in what would be going through your mind or somebody's mind at that moment. I don't have a lot of time. I just want the floor clean. We have pets, there's hair, just need yeah. So just vacuum the floor because
Right.
I know it'll get clean.
Hmm.
But instead of saying, sweep it, now give that a try, you're thinking they're going to fail and you just want a clean floor so you can just move on and feel better that you got something done or something was done.
Yeah.
Um, and guess what? If it's not totally clean, so what? But
Oh,
I'm not
absolutely.
minimizing anything. I was that person. And it was only about 5 years ago that I let I get off the perfectionism train.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
recent. Yeah.
Oh, and 3,000%. So like I said, single mom, had four kids, four young kids at home, going to school, bartending at night. And they just got to a point where it's like something has to give before I
Mm.
did, because I could only manage so much. And keeping this house, this meticulous house was what? That was my anxiety. That was my control issues. There were no dust police that were going to come into my home and check to see if behind my toilet was clean or the top cabinet needed to be dusted. And those are the things I think as we get older that we come to these realizations. Like you said, it was just recently 5 years ago. Something has to get, we're human. And sometimes we get caught up in what the control issues really stem from. So instead of feeding it
Mm,
by acknowledging the anxiety and then giving it power, we can acknowledge the anxiety to control, because that's one area of our life we know we have control over, is how clean that we keep our house. And then just take a step back and say, well, what's the real anxiety that's going on? What am I really experiencing that I am masking with having a clean house? Because honestly, I don't know how, I mean, I've never had someone knock on my door and say, oh, the top of your cabinets are dusty. That's just never happened.
but let's go a little deeper because I can relate to this. You don't want to be judged. So if somebody does happen to come over and you have some dust bunnies on the floor, by the way, I got home yesterday and just what we're describing
Mhm.
is my floor. And I was like, I'm going to take care of it tonight. No, I got things to do. I'm going to bed. Wake up this morning, got other things. I had like 2 Zoom meetings before, like 8 and 9 a.m. And I walked past, and now the sun's shining through. I'm like, ooh, look at that. And I'm like, take care of it today when I get home. I'm not going to worry about it. Why? And that's the other thing. We worry about these things we don't really need to worry about. We've imposed this upon ourselves.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, an important message as adults for us to be able to just kind of reevaluate what are the things that we're worrying about and how important are they are, and the things that, and so the bigger thing here is, what are we missing out on by taking all of this extra time to do things that aren't as important? In hindsight, I mean, how I parent my grandson now, after my kids are all 35 and above,
Mm,
and how I parented them, very different, right? The mindfulness, the ability to be present, the things that you think about that are differently, that you don't necessarily always have the time for. And I know that when I was parenting, I was always super busy, super stretched thin. And I can just remember sitting on the football field with the boys playing football, and I'm doing homework, and I'm missing all of these wonderful moments because I'm looking and I'm smiling, but I'm not really in the moment. I'm worrying about my homework assignment, or how, my next exam that I've got going on, or the paper that I'm writing. And those are the moments that you miss out on. So if I can give some advice for some stress management, is carve out some family time. That's really important. Carve it out and be present. Put your phone away, take your Apple Watch off, put the iPad away. And even if it's a half an hour to spend with your family, that's going to go further than 3 hours that you're semi paying attention. You're smiling and you're nodding, but you're not even absorbing.
yeah.
So it's
And
really,
being present is big.
yes.
Big. Being present for yourself is big,
hmm
you
And
know?
it's hard because we're busy. Even this morning, I'm making the smoothie, and my grandson's like, yeah, yeah, I want to show you this video. And I've got the smoothie going. I'm trying to feed the dog. I'm trying to get his medicine. And I'm already thinking 15 steps ahead. When's my first client coming in? What am I doing? What appointments do I have? And he's following me around the kitchen with his phone. And he's like, yeah,
Oh,
but I just want to show you this video. And so I stopped and I took a breath and I just said, I'm going to just, what is it going to take me? 60 seconds to enjoy this video, which is
right.
clear, so important to him. Can my smoothie not wait? So it's like that constant reminder to take a breath and say, because that meant a lot for him to have me just kind of, I had no idea even what even the video was, to be honest with you. I kind of watched it and I was like, oh, wow, that was in my mind. I'm like, I don't even know what that was, but what it was mindfulness, presence. And I showed him that he was important enough for me to stop and pause and just give him that 1 minute.
You know, I just saw something here, how impactful that would be for us to pause. They know that we're busy.
hmm
And, whether we should be, need to be, it doesn't matter. You're in the middle of doing stuff and you
Yeah,
stopped. You stopped in the middle of everything to
yeah,
divert your attention. That probably meant more than your attention itself. You know what I'm saying? The actual stopping of everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because well, you're showing them that they're a priority in that moment and they matter. In your busy world, you're showing that other person, whether it be a child, your spouse, your friend, your whatever it is, just to be able to kind of stop and I practice that a lot even here at work. I'm always pulled in 55 directions, and we have an open door policy here because it's super important to me that all of my staff feel like at any moment they can come to me and they can ask me a question no matter what the question is. And I try, I'm not certainly not perfect, but I try really hard every day to just be mindful and come into the day knowing I'm going to have 55 questions today. That's a minimum. That's going to happen. I'm going to bounce between running the business, seeing my clients, triaging this, uh, supervising, and that's okay. And that is all of the balls that I know are going to be in the air for that day. So I go into it being kind to myself. I make sure that I get up early, I do my workout, I have my smoothie, I make sure that I start my day as prepared as, well, of course, we never know what's going to happen, and breathe through the rest of it. Because guess what? The day's going to come and go, whether we want it to or not.
Hmm. And why do it stressfully?
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. We can just get so much more done if we can just kind of take that breath, take that pause, think about what we're going to do, think about what's important, do our lists, have some self-care, be
Hmm.
kind, be kind to ourselves and be kind to everybody else. That's really important.
It's funny that everything we're talking about, we live that life. We, we shared. We know what it's like.
Mhm. Right, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? And then those are also moments to think about, do I need to talk to a therapist? Or is my stress gotten to the point where I can't manage it? I need more. Are there root causes? Are there more things that I need to explore to uncover in order to reduce my stress? And sometimes we just need more coping skills.
Mm. And seeing things in a different light.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I knew I was a perfectionist. I've known that since I was 17, and I have the proof. It's a newspaper clipping on the wall in that room right there. Uh, I know that, but I didn't know what it was doing. And
Mm.
in the beginning, and through my 20s, 30s, and on, I thought it was a good thing. Well, I'm being perfect. That's the way you should be. No, you're doing it to make up for something. Feelings of self-worth, not being strong enough, right? All of that stuff from the
Yeah.
childhood, from our
Yes,
childhoods.
and I'm so glad that you said that because that is absolutely the truth. Us overachievers, type A personalities, perfectionistic people, what are we overcompensating for? I
It's
think
all
that's
there. It
it.
and the only way you find that out is through therapy, maybe hypnotherapy, but still therapy. Some other modalities, but once you figure out what, that's why I stopped. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I realized what was going on. And you're 100% right. If I could go back, I would change it. In terms of even being a father. So many times, my kids would be running through the hallway and we, hey, stop! Don't scuff up the walls. Whoa, put the brakes on there. And I'm thinking to myself now, who the blank cares? So what? They're kids. You'll just paint it. But back then, I was thinking, well, if I'm going to paint it, then when I find it was perfect now, and then I got to find the time to do it, and it's never going to look exactly the same with the paint on. Who cares? Priorities. Who cares?
The kids are just being kids, right? Riding
Right.
their bikes on the lawn, jumping through the leaf pile. I mean, those are the small things that are important to them. And so what if we have to re-rake it? Or so what if the grass is not perfect? I mean, the lawn police doesn't come and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Give you a report card on what your lawn looks like.
Right.
If you've got a yard full of happy kids that are playing in a sprinkler or covered in mud or doing all of the things that make them happy and free and they're outside, cherish that. Just when they're because they're not on their electronics and they're not inside and they're out getting fresh air and they're doing the things that kids need to do. And I think, for some parents, it's important to just take a minute, just listen to the giggles, just listen to the laughter. And my God, what that does to your heart if you can just take a moment and just hear that and just let it resonate and know that you're part of that. You're part of the reason that these kids are laughing and smiling. And my goodness, what a great accomplishment that can be as a parent.
Amen. And you'll never get that time back. So
true.
Take it all in. Yeah. How do we find you?
Our website is newbeginningswc.com. We have a Facebook page, New Beginnings Wellness Center, and all of our information is on our website or is on our Facebook page.
You have an amazing team, people that do care. And then there's you at the helm of the ship working to delegate.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. That's on my bucket list, delegation.
Same. But you're right. I mean, I just did a post-it note before of things I want to get done before the end of the day because I don't want to deal with stress. So there it is. Just manage it. And part of that,
Isn't it cathartic to just like check that off from me? Oh, I love that.
it feels so good. Sherri Ann, thank you so much for today. Such vital info to live a good life, stress-free, and looking forward next time we get together.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.